What's good, people, and welcome to the Hero's Journey podcast. Today I want to talk about a TED Talk that I watched over the weekend called The Power of Introverts by Susan Cain. And obviously it was about introverts and the qualities of introverted people. And I started thinking about myself, and because I identify more as an introvert than an extrovert. I think I've got a good balance between the two. I do like going out, exploring, adventuring, like the forest and outdoorsy stuff, doing stuff with my hands. I love motorsports. I love bikes and cars and road trips and whatnot, and the sea and swimming and diving, like all sorts of things like that. But they tend to be more solitary activities. They're not really, they can be big group activities, but a lot of the time I find that they're more solitary activities and more small group of like-minded type activities, as opposed to more parties or I don't know, clubs, bars, that sorts of thing. So yeah, like I said, I was thinking about the whole dynamic between extroverts and introverts and so on and so forth, and I thought I'd share some of those thoughts and a little bit of my research and stuff with you guys. And maybe it'll help you decide whether you're more introverted, more extroverted, and kind of where you are. And I don't know, who knows what you get out of it. I started thinking that, you know, as children, like, we learn from a really young age that being introverted isn't really a good or positive quality. You know, most kids who are quiet or introverted at school tend to kind of go unnoticed or under the radar. They're not very popular, not very big social groups and so on and so forth. It's normally the louder, more open and sociable kids that are kind of chosen for the, like, chosen first in the sports activities. They have, you know, chosen to go to the parties, all these sorts of stuff. People don't generally see or even look for the skills and qualities that introverted children have. It normally takes a more caring, considerate and more observant teacher or friend to bring to the forefront or bring to light or give the opportunity to an introvert for them to shine or for them to bring their skills to the forefront. And I started thinking about, you know, what is an introvert, you know, really, because you hear a lot of people saying nowadays, oh yeah, it's kind of becoming a bit of a trend almost to say, oh, I'm an introvert, I'm introverted, and, you know, it's kind of almost like emo, or you know what I mean, it's kind of cool and you're kind of quirky and whatnot. But you find that a lot of these people aren't actually introverted. They're just more socially awkward or shy, but those aren't really what being introverted or introversion is about. Introversion is more to do with how you respond to external stimulus. For instance, introverts tend to prefer being in quieter spaces, less busy environments where they can think clearer and be with their own thoughts, spending time creating, working on things that interest them and so on and so forth. That has nothing to do with being shy or being socially awkward. It has to do with how you tend to want to spend time and how you react to being in around places that are not really conducive to allowing you to think and allowing you to explore those ideas and internal goings on, those internal workings. I mean, apparently something like a third of all people are introverts. So out of a group of 10, a group of 30 people, that means 10 are going to be introverts out of a group of, yeah, let's just leave it at that. So if you identify as an introvert, you need to understand that there are many introverts around, and that the ideal environment for you thriving and being successful isn't one that's hustle bustle, go all around loads of people and group work and those sorts of things. The ideal environment for you to thrive is a calm and peaceful one that maybe allows you to work alone or be by yourself. So some of you introverts are in jobs where you are serving people all day, talking to people all day, around people all day, and you get home and you're just done. You're drained. You're done. Like, and you say, oh, I'm so tired, you know, I don't feel. And then somebody else will say, oh, well, I've been doing this and doing that and doing that. And then you're like, wow, okay, you've been doing that, but like, I'm hella tired. You know, it could be because you are really an introverted person, and those environments drain you. Yes, you can function within them, but that is not the ideal place for you to be. Yes, some flowers can thrive in, you know, environments that don't have much water. Is it the best environment for them to grow? No. You know, the problem really comes is that society is not geared for introverts. It's not geared for introverts to function well, and that goes for the workplace and school. Like I was just giving an example of the workplace. If you are someone who's fresh out of school, college, uni, or wherever you may be in your life, and you're having to work in retail or choosing to work in retail, retail environments are not geared for introverts. Introverts do not thrive well in the retail environment. You got to be talking to people all day. You got to have people talking to you all day. You got to sell stuff to people all day. These are not introverted jobs or introverted environments. Like, that's why you have a lot of people that are just like, I can't do it. Like, I'm burnt out. They just can't do it, you know. And then you have other people that thrive in those environments. They're selling all the time. They're talking to people all the time. They're getting a buzz off being in that environment. You know, those are clearly extroverted people. I personally can function in those environments. I've got a bit of the gift of the gab. I'm good at talking to people. I'm quite confident when it comes to talking to people. I do have a bit of a shy streak here and there. That's only if I really like someone though. And generally I wouldn't choose to be in that environment though. I really have to feel like, yeah, I want to do that or be there to be in that type of environment. My choice would be a more solitary setting. I'd rather be out in the woods chopping something down, creating something in the studio, just chilling with someone one-on-one, watching a film, playing a game, something like that, as opposed to being in a sales environment or being in a bar talking to loads of people and mingling and small talk. And it just doesn't do it for me, you know. And my point is that society is geared towards that. Society is geared towards people being out there, being sociable, interacting, selling, talking to loads of people, and introverts are kind of having to fit into those environments. Schools, again, it's the same. Like I was saying before, that the loudest kid, the most confident kid, the biggest kid, the things that make them stand out are normally the most popular, the ones that are chosen for things like the plays, like the parties and whatnot. The quiet kids, on the other hand, kind of left to get on with it, and just kind of go under the radar generally. And the reason why that is because people generally believe that extroversion and the ability to function within a group are signs of leadership and creative ability, output. But that's not necessarily true. You'll find that, and a lot of research also indicates that introverts are getting better grades more often than extroverted students. They're more knowledgeable, they're extremely creative and really great leaders. But because they're introverted, they get overlooked in favor of their more extroverted peers. And research also shows that introverts deliver better results when in leadership roles than extroverts. Some of you may not believe that, some of you extroverts may not believe that, but these are what the studies show. In particular, I'll post a link in the description. If you head over to the Journal of Social Psychology, two psychologists from Yale, Anton Gollwitzer and John Barr, conducted a study. I'll just give you a quick quote from it. You can read it in your own time. But they basically say extroverts are may be known for being more comfortable in navigating social situations, but the study finds that introverts may be better than extroverts at observing and understanding the social behaviour of people in group settings, a skill that is useful in knowing how to effectively lead others. And then it goes on to say that introverts, who are prone to melancholy, seem to be more astute at understanding how we behave in groups than their gregarious peers. Gregarious just meaning more social. But like I said, unfortunately, introverts are more overlooked because of the extroverted nature of their counterparts. And the reason why these extroverts are better leaders is because they're less concerned with being the center of attention. They're less concerned with everybody following and loving what they do and their ideas, and are more inclined to allow others to contribute their ideas, and more inclined to encourage others to be more proactive, especially in terms of working and thinking in collaborative situations, because they're not so interested in their idea being the one that gets chosen. They're more interested in having a better result and including everybody in it, as opposed to their one idea dominating everybody else's. I'm not trying to blast extroverts. I'm just trying to highlight the reasons why introverts are showing to be better leaders in these studies. There's some good examples of introverted leaders as well, like Eleanor Roosevelt. If you don't know who she is, she was an American woman, and she was actually the first chair of the United Nations Commission on Human Rights. Not only was she a woman, I mean, she was the first chairperson of the Commission of Human Rights. So a lot of the human rights we have today, a lot of the acts, a lot of the laws against modern day slavery, so on and so forth, all of the great things that United Nations and the Commission of Human Rights have brought into play, she was the first chairperson and a pioneer of that. Then you got people like Rosa Parks, prominent woman of colour, black woman, again a woman, who famously stood up against a white man. Maybe she didn't stand up. Maybe she sat down against a white man and said, "Look, I'm not going to move." And that's during the whole civil rights movement, or sparking the civil rights movement, and being instrumental in abolishing the segregation of black and white people. You've got people like Gandhi, who are known for their pacifism in later life, and wisdom and humility, and leading people to things like meditation, yoga, so on and so forth, and peaceful protest, and a whole bunch of things, but through their introverted nature. I think it's important to note as well that those people, they're not 100% introverts. They have extroverted characteristics about them. Like, nobody is wholly introverted or wholly extroverted. Most people are somewhere on a spectrum and maybe lean towards one side or the other more. Like I said, I'm more introverted, but I've got quite a lot of extroverted characteristics as well. But if I had a choice, I would probably choose to stay in on a Friday night chilling, as opposed to going out somewhere. That's just me. Unless it was like a bike ride, like a motorbike ride, or a race or something, adrenaline like filled. I would be up for that. But just standing around socializing is not my thing. But there you go. But like I said, there's a spectrum. Everyone's going to fall somewhere on it, But within that, I think society is not really paying attention to the fact that there is a spectrum and people are going to be on one side or the other, or more to one side than the other. I think there's a kind of blanket idea that, okay, if you're introverted, then you're a bit meh, you're not really functioning correctly in society, and there's maybe something wrong with you. You know, you're not quite all you should be or all you could be, you know, whereas the extroverted people are clearly functioning well within society, and this is kind of the model of what people should be. And when the reality is that's not true. You need both ends of the spectrum in order for things to function correctly. You know, the qualities of introverts are needed. For instance, like a lot of great thinkers were known as loners. They were very reserved, they were humble. Some people even called them strange because they chose to spend a lot of time in solitude by themselves, quietly creating. People like Einstein, you know, people, a crazy little German guy, but you know, one of the most profound thinkers ever, but so humble, so quiet. There was a video that came out recently. I mean, it's clearly an old video, but nobody had really seen it before, of Einstein first coming to America, and it's one of the only clips where you can hear him talk. He's speaking in German, I think, and you know, you can see, you can clearly he's softly spoken. He's a quiet man. He's humble. You know, he's just a very quiet, humble person, but one of the greatest minds, one of the greatest thinkers to ever live. You got people like, you know, who are more modern and more prominent, like Bill Gates, very introverted, very quiet, don't know much about his life, dresses very plainly, one of the richest people in the world, one of the smartest people. You got people like Steven Spielberg, very introverted, very low-key, don't see him much, not in the limelight, and you know, all these things, but the mind, the films, the creativity behind what he does, what he writes, what he creates, what he directs, amazing. You know, you got people like Mark Zuckerberg, you know, just kind of a nerdy looking guy, quiet, again, one not very out there with the clothes and all those sorts of things, but again, he created one of the biggest, strongest social networks ever. And you know, he not only do Facebook have Facebook, now they've got Instagram, you know, it's owned by Facebook now, and a whole bunch of other stuff that they're buying and owning and developing. Whether you think that Facebook is a force for good or whether it's just collecting people's data or what is neither here nor there. It's just to do what I'm illustrating is the fact that these people who were kind of introverted and humble and so on and so forth are some of the biggest thinkers, and their ideas and contributions to society have been game changing. I didn't even mention Jeff Bezos there. There's that famous picture of Jeff Bezos in just a little office in a tower block with Amazon.com like kind of plastered on the wall with a banner, and that's where he was. He was in that office day in, day out, working away, tapping away, you know, in solitude. And now look, richest man on earth apparently, you know, worth however many trillions or whatever. And it's not all about money. It's not all about money. Money is just like a reward for your contributions, I guess, you know. But the fact of the matter is, what he created in that solitude, within his introverted nature, has changed the world. Again, whether you think it's for the better or worse is neither here nor there for this conversation. But again, I say it to illustrate the validity of the contributions of introverted individuals. So yeah. And you know what, I don't want to neglect, because like I said, it's not all about money. These introverted people, it's not all about money, it's not all about business either. You've got a lot of spiritual leaders, spiritual revolutionaries like, you know, Buddha, Muhammad, Jesus, you know, all these people, they went off into the wilderness for days, weeks. Famously, Jesus, whether you believe he done it or not, 40 days, 40 nights in the wilderness, meditating, fasting, all these things, getting revelations from God, and so on and so forth. All these spiritual like I said, revolutionaries, they all had this time where they went into darkness, solitude, and came back with a revelation, came back enlightened, came back with the power to help other people, to create, to give life, essentially. And it reminds me of the hero's journey again. The cycle, the call to adventure, going off on a journey, then descending down into the darkness, descending down into the unknown, into that solitude, that time by yourself, finding who you are, what you have to offer, what you can do, creating yourself, and ultimately becoming reborn and all that sort of stuff, and then coming up back into the world of the living or whatever, but being able, and this is the important thing, being able to enlighten and strengthen and give guidance and help to those who you come back to again. So it's like introverts have their work cut out for them. I don't want to say it's all the fault of extroverts. Extroverts are taking all the limelight and so on and so forth. Of course, introverts need to be more assertive. They need to put themselves out there, and if they're going to complete this hero's journey properly, they need, after they have that time in solitude, finding who they are, what they can create, what they're good at, blah 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 blah, come out of that and be able to use those new skills, revelations, powers, visions, whatever, to give back to the people around them and the wider world. Just like those people that I mentioned, the Jeff Bezoses, the Gandhis, the whoever's, they gave back to the people. That's where their introverted nature really shone. So what am I going to say now? I'm not saying that introverts should stop working with extroverts and they should just be separate, and introverts should just go off on their solo journeys and then come back and change the world and do all that. I'm not saying that. Introverts and extroverts should definitely collaborate more, but the collaboration should have a greater appreciation for the contribution of the introverts, and a greater acceptance that introverts have a different way of working, a different way of coming to their conclusions, a different way of finding what it is they have to contribute. The extroverts may do that by talking to people, more group work, more getting out there and all that sort of stuff, whereas the introvert may need to go off to one side for a little while, write some things down, have a think, make some notes and do things more quietly, then come back to the group and then feed back that way. I find in schools and colleges and workplaces and stuff like that, they are very insistent on group work and brainstorming together and writing this down and having a chat and discussing it with your group, and that just doesn't work for some people. It just doesn't work for the introverts. You need that time to think and get your thoughts together and organize what you want to say. Another thing I thought about was that it's to do with society as well, and people as a whole have a bit of a herd mentality about them. And I think this is another reason why extroverts do better, if you like, in society. It's because they are there to be seen more, their ideas are more at the forefront, and because of this herd mentality, people tend to follow what they're told is good or what is seen to be good. It's like, oh, okay, that's good, that's at the forefront, it must be good, it's on the TV, it's in the limelight, it must be the best brand, it must be the best brand of food. I don't know, not Capri Sun, what's the one, what's the people that do the orange juice, not Sunkissed, I forget now. Tropicana is like the most recognized orange juice brand. Oh, therefore it must be the best orange juice. Well, maybe it's not, but we're just kind of programmed to go in and say, hey, Tropicana, that's the best, and it's the most expensive. It's definitely the best. Oh, Maserati, it's the most expensive car. It's not the most expensive car, but you know, just things like this. Brands, you know, oh, it's a Mercedes, it must be good, when if you've been in any modern Mercedes, it's ugly, cheap and plastic. I would never buy one. That's just me. But you know, there you go. That just shows you the way that the herd is programmed. This has the most prominent position in society, therefore it's the best. Well, actually, that's not the truth, you know. So one thing I think we need to kind of change, or at least accept and then begin to change, is that what the herd is doing or what the herd thinks is not necessarily the best thing, and what is shown to the herd or shown to the masses is not the best. You know, it sounds obvious. Even as I'm saying it, I'm thinking this sounds bait, but the reality of it is not a lot of people are aware of it, or some people are aware of it and not really sure what to do about it, or just, you know what I mean. I think a lot of people need to be more woke, for want of a better term. I hate that term because it's so bastardized at the moment. But be more woke, be more aware of what is being pushed to them, and the reasons why they're following certain people. Is like, you're following this person because they're prominent, they're in the limelight, they're making a lot of noise right now, and that's it. It's not necessarily the content of the character or the content of material or the quality of the products. Just because it's there, it's at the forefront, it's what's deemed to be the best. You know, we have to have more of a conscious selection of the people that we are pushing in society, the people that we're promoting in society, the people that we're hiring, people that we're following, the people that we're falling in love with. The reason, you know, it permeates so many levels and layers of life. You know, if we start doing that, then maybe we'll be able to shift this bias, because I think there is a bias towards extroversion. You know, like I said before, extroversion is kind of deemed as the better leadership quality, and deemed as more creative, more productive. You know, you get a lot of people in your workplace, for instance, they haven't really done much work, but they're saying they've done bare work, and you're there, you've done tons of work, and it's, you know, maybe it's better, maybe you've put more effort into it and so on and so forth, and you're not making a lot of noise about it. But you know what? You're not getting much promotions, you're not getting much recognition. But my girl over there, who hasn't really done a lot, just done the bare minimum, making a lot of noise about it, actually, you know what, they're getting noticed, they're getting promoted and all these sorts of things. And it doesn't just apply to the workplace, it applies to arts, it applies to schools, it applies to all sorts of things, relationships, everything. But like I said, by the same token, introverts have their work cut out. They do have to step up, be more assertive, make sure that their work is being noticed, make sure that their qualities are being noticed, and they're rewarded for their efforts and so on and so forth. So there's some work that introverts have to do. Like I said, it's not all the fault of the extroverts, the evil extroverts. They are the ones stopping the, you know, not that, nah. These are just my thoughts after watching the TED Talk, you know, on the differences and the qualities and maybe some of the reasons why things are like this for introverts and extroverts. Alright, I'm going to leave it there for this one. Coming up to 30 minutes, gone very quickly for me. I hope it's gone very quickly for you, in that you've enjoyed listening and kind of thinking about what I'm saying. I hope it's challenging some of your ideas, and I hope you're coming up with some objections to what I'm saying and some agreements as well. It'd be great if you guys could comment in a comment section wherever you are. If you're on Insta or YouTube, you can't comment on Spotify and you can't comment on Apple Music or the podcasting platforms, but if you're on one of the ones where you can, please, that would be good. Be good if you can like, share and subscribe on whatever platform you like. The podcast is coming to Apple Podcasts soon, but it takes about 7 to 14 days to get approved and uploaded. So I've been doing this 7 days now, 5 episodes in, so it's not there on Apple Podcasts yet, but it will be soon. I encourage you to go onto YouTube and look at Susan Cain's TED Talk. It's called The Power of Introverts, and I'm going to call this podcast The Power of Introverts too, so there's that kind of cohesion. And also go onto my Patreon, patreon.com/THJP. There's like ebooks you can download, self-help guides and stuff. Some of them are free, some of them are for subscribers, so check it out and see what's there. I'm going to be uploading new stuff all the time. And for my subscribers, you will also be able to download the podcasts so you can listen to them anytime offline as well. Alright, I hope you've enjoyed this podcast, and I'll see you in the next one.